homemade quiche, and this is really delicious. I like to make a spinach quiche whenever I'm having friends over for brunch or I want to take something to my parents. And this one is really easy and always turns out fantastic. There are only 5 ingredients, and the process of putting it together and baking it is quite simple. The ingredients are listed down in the description bar, and you will find the procedure right here in this video, so keep watching. Let's start by looking at our ingredients and our utensils. First thing I have here is a stoneware pie dish. I'm sure you can use a glass or metal one if that's what you have and that's what you prefer. I just prefer the stoneware because it seems to bake the crust very evenly. I put a raw crust in there and it's crispy on the bottom after it's baked as well as on the sides. So that's the kind that I prefer. You will need pie crust. I buy these Pillsbury ready-made ones that are just rolled up and you roll them out. I'll show you what that looks like in a moment. A container of sour cream. This is a 24-ounce container. It's the tall one. You can purchase low-fat sour cream if you prefer to reduce the calories in your finished quiche. I like the full-fat sour cream in this recipe. You will need a bag of shredded cheese. This one is the Colby and Monterey Jack. You can use whatever flavor you like. It's the 8-ounce bag. You can get the finely shredded or the what do they call it, traditional shredded, that's a little bit the shreds are a little bit thicker. Whichever you prefer works just fine. And then you need a block of frozen chopped spinach. The brand doesn't matter. This is 10 ounces. Okay, we need eggs, obviously, 6 eggs. The large were on sale, so that's what I got. And here I have some cheesecloth that I'm going to use to drain my spinach. Now you can drain your spinach in any kind of cloth. You can use a kitchen towel if that's what you have. You don't need cheesecloth for it. That's just what I happen to have. So the first step in our process is going to be to preheat our oven to 375, and then I am going to thaw and drain the spinach. Now there are different ways you can do this. You can leave it out overnight or leave it in the refrigerator to drain it a little bit, or you can drain it by heating it in the microwave for short segments of time and keep checking on it, and then when it's all softened you can drain it. Make sure you're not actually cooking it in the microwave, but just thaw it enough to drain it if that's what you choose. So that's the first thing I'm going to do, is get the spinach drained. So you can see what I've done here. I have a colander over a little bowl, and I put cheesecloth in my colander, and now I have my thawed spinach in there, and I'm going to wring it out and try to wring out as much moisture as I can. Now you can use a variety of vegetables in a quiche. My mom often makes zucchini quiche, which is delicious. She'll grate the zucchini using a box grater, but again, you need to go through this process of squeezing as much moisture out as possible because you don't want to be adding extra liquid into your batter and make your batter too wet. Then it won't cook properly. So let me wring this out. I'm just going to gather up the cheesecloth and I'm going to start squeezing and wringing like this. And again, if you don't have cheesecloth, you can use a tea towel. Tea towel works just fine. And just keep squeezing and wringing to get out as much of the moisture as you can. And you'll be surprised when I show you how much liquid came out of that. There's probably a good half cup or more of liquid in there. So I'm going to spill this out into the sink, and then I'm going to put the cheesecloth back in here and just let it drip while I'm putting the other ingredients together. So while our spinach continues to drain, I'm going to take out a pie crust and lay it out in the pie pan. So if you buy these pre-made crusts, you get 2 of them in a box. You can keep the other one in the refrigerator for a future use, but they come rolled up in plastic tube like this. So you just cut the end open and take the pie crust out like this, and then you just unroll it into the pie pan. So just going to get the end started here and really gently unroll. Just be careful. You can make your own pie crust if you know how and you feel so inclined, but this is a shortcut I like to take. Oh, our oven is preheated now to 375. That's good. Okay, so just lay this in the pie pan and just kind of make sure it's going up the sides like so. And that's about how I do it. It doesn't have to be perfect. If you really want to be fancy and put a fluted edge on it and everything, you can, but I don't usually go to that extreme. So now we're going to mix up our batter. So to start the filling for the quiche, we're going to break 6 eggs into a bowl. So that's what I have here. And take the whisk and whisk them up really well until the whites and yolks are combined and everything's smooth. It doesn't hurt to whip them up a bit and get some nice air in there. And then after you do that, you're going to take your container of sour cream and dump the whole thing in. So I'm just going to put in the whole container of sour cream. Like so. Okay, I have that all mixed together. Looks like yellow cake batter, all smooth and nice, no lumps in it. So now I'm going to put the whisk in the sink, and I am going to take our cheese, the whole bag of cheese, and just tear it open, sprinkle it in there. Try not to get any lumps if you can help it. And then take a spatula and just start folding it in gently so you don't break any of the bubbles you might have put into the eggs when you were whipping them. And get all the cheese folded in like that. And then of course our last step is to fold in the spinach that we prepared and drained earlier. And again, this is the stage where you could add other things to your quiche. You could add some diced ham or some cooked bacon that you crumbled up. Some people like mushrooms, things like that, but here's our spinach. It's all drained. I'm going to open the cloth, and you want to be careful because right now it's like a ball and I need to crumble it up into the batter. So take your time and put your spinach or zucchini or whatever vegetable you chose into the batter like so. And then take the spatula and fold that in the way you folded in the cheese. And you'll probably need to break up some of the bigger pieces that you weren't able to crumble, but just take it slowly, fold it in till that nice cheese and spinach is all dispersed throughout our egg batter. Now that I have it all stirred up nicely, I can pour it into the crust. So pour slowly. It makes a lot of filling and you don't want to overflow your crust, but it will be very full. So I'm just going to use my spatula and scrape all that goodness out of the bowl. And so your crust will be full. It'll look like this. and we'll put it in the oven and bake it for around 45 minutes. Now, as it bakes, it's going to puff up, but then when you take the baked quiche out of the oven, it'll deflate a little bit. It's that air that we put into the eggs that helps keep it nice and fluffy. You can put extra seasonings in the batter if you want. You might want some salt or pepper or garlic powder, whatever seasonings you like. However, I usually find that between the cheese and the sour cream, it's salty enough that I don't need to add any other seasonings to it. So it's really simple. Your ingredients are just the crust, the spinach, the eggs, the sour cream, and the cheese. Just those 5 things. Now I'm going to put this in a 375-degree oven. I'm going to set the oven for 45 minutes and then I'm going to check it. Sometimes it takes a little longer than 45 minutes depending on how much filling you have and how big your pie pan is or whatever. But if you check it at 45 minutes, you can be pretty sure that you're not going to overcook it. So I'm going to put it in the oven and then show you what it looks like when it comes out. I checked on the quiche at the 45-minute point and it wasn't quite done. You want it to be brown around the edges and completely set on top. So I kept putting it back in for 5-minute intervals until I was satisfied with the way it looked. So I'm about to take it out of the oven and show it to you now. And that is a thing of beauty. Now, you'll notice that it really puffed up in the center. That's because we whipped up the eggs. It will deflate a little bit as it cools, but you don't want to cut it until it is cool. Now, to determine the number of calories per serving in your quiche, you just add up the calories in all of the ingredients that you used, divide it by 6 because you commonly would cut this into 6 wedges. With the quiche I made, that normally comes out to about 400 calories, 350 to 400 calories per piece. If people like really huge servings, they might cut it into quarters and eat 1/4 of it at a time. If you add meat, it will change the calorie count. If you use a different vegetable or use the low-fat sour cream, that's going to change the calorie count. So you'll need to figure that out for yourself. But it's a very filling and nutritious thing to have for breakfast or lunch. It's good cold or warmed over. It's good with a salad alongside of it or some fruit. So that's all there is to it. It's easy and it's delicious. I hope you'll try out this recipe and send me a picture of your beautiful creation. Thanks for watching and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.